5 things to say no to in old age to avoid disaster. Aging gracefully is not just about counting the years or managing your health. It's about embracing the wisdom of knowing when to say no. At 65 and beyond, life offers a unique perspective, a time to prioritize peace, health, and fulfillment over unnecessary stress and obligations. By carefully choosing what you let into your life, you can avoid pitfalls that lead to regret and live your golden years with joy and dignity. Here are 5 key things to say no to in old age, ensuring a smoother path forward. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. 1. Say no to unnecessary eating and drinking invitations. In the golden years of life, every choice about how you spend your time and energy matters more than ever, and that includes the food you eat and the company you keep at the table. Social gatherings centered around food and drink can be warm, lively, and inviting, but they can also become traps if they prioritize indulgence over well-being. At this stage, it's essential to recognize when to step away, not just for the sake of declining an invitation, but for the sake of preserving your health, your energy, and your peace of mind. When you were younger, you may have had the resilience to handle a late-night party, a few extra drinks, or a feast that pushed the limits of moderation. But with age comes wisdom, and the understanding that your body's needs are different now. Chronic conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, and gout don't take a night off because you're enjoying yourself. They remain vigilant, ready to remind you of the consequences of overindulgence. Declining an invitation that doesn't serve your well-being is not selfish, it's self-respect. Imagine this. You're invited to a gathering where the table is laden with rich, sugary desserts, heavy meats, and glasses of wine flowing freely. The room is lively, the laughter contagious, and the temptation to indulge is strong. But deep down, you know the cost. You know the price your body might pay the next morning. A spike in blood sugar, aching joints, or simply a feeling of heaviness that robs you of the joy you've worked so hard to cultivate in your life. Saying no to these invitations doesn't mean cutting yourself off from the joys of socializing. It means redefining those joys. It means seeking out opportunities to connect with others in ways that nourish your body and soul rather than depleting them. A walk in the park, a cup of tea on the porch, or even a lively phone conversation can be just as fulfilling as a seat at a crowded table and far more aligned with the life you deserve to lead. But saying no is not always easy. There may be guilt, the fear of disappointing a friend or feeling left out. This is where grace comes into play. You can decline with kindness, explaining that you're prioritizing your health but would love to connect in another way. Thank you so much for thinking of me. I've been focusing on staying healthy, so I'll need to pass this time. How about a coffee date next week? Such responses not only honor your boundaries, but also show others that your decision comes from a place of self-care, not rejection. There's also an opportunity here to lead by example. In a society that often equates celebration with excess, your choices can inspire others to rethink their habits. Imagine being the person who encourages loved ones to swap an evening of indulgence for a morning hike or a healthy potluck. By choosing wisely for yourself, you may plant seeds of mindfulness in others. It's also worth reflecting on the deeper meaning of these choices. Every time you say no to an event that doesn't align with your values or well-being, you are saying yes to something greater. You're saying yes to waking up with energy, to spending more quality time with your grandchildren, to pursuing hobbies that bring you joy, and to living the life you envision for yourself. In the end, life is not about how many dinners or parties you attend, but about the quality of the experiences you choose. So, when faced with the next invitation, take a moment to ask yourself, will this nourish my body and spirit? Will this bring me closer to the life I want to lead? If the answer is no, don't hesitate to decline. Your golden years are a time to prioritize what truly matters. Let each no you say be a declaration of your commitment to a healthier, happier, and more peaceful life. 2. Say no to arguments with people on a different wavelength. There is a quiet wisdom that comes with age, the ability to discern which battles are worth fighting and which are better left untouched. Life is too precious, especially in your golden years, to waste on arguments that lead nowhere. Engaging in disagreements with those who cannot or will not see the world through a broader lens is not just exhausting, it's a disservice to the peace and clarity you've worked so hard to cultivate. Not every conversation is meant to be a debate, and not every opinion needs your response. When faced with someone who holds tightly to beliefs that clash with your own, it's tempting to argue, to persuade, to prove your point. But consider this: what will you gain? Will the conversation bring understanding, or will it leave you frustrated and drained? Often the latter is true. You end up expending valuable energy on a discussion that neither changes minds nor brings you closer to the other person. Instead of engaging in these fruitless debates, pause and reflect. Your time and energy are finite, and every moment spent in unnecessary conflict is a moment taken from joy, learning, or connection. It's not about admitting defeat or avoiding confrontation. It's about recognizing the wisdom in walking away. The strongest people are not those who win every argument, but those who know when silence is the more powerful response. Imagine this scenario. You're sitting at a family gathering, and a heated discussion about politics arises. Voices grow louder, opinions clash, and the atmosphere becomes tense. You feel the urge to jump in, to share your perspective, to set the record straight. But then you stop and ask yourself, is this the hill I want to die on? Will my words change anyone's mind? Or will they only add fuel to the fire? In that moment, choosing to step back is not a sign of weakness. It's an act of self preservation. You're choosing your peace over chaos, your happiness over discord. This doesn't mean you should suppress your voice or opinions altogether. There is a time and place for meaningful conversations where both parties are open to listening and learning. Seek those moments and cherish them. But when faced with someone who is unwilling to meet you halfway, let go of the need to convince them. Let them hold on to their beliefs while you hold on to your peace. It's also important to recognize that not every disagreement stems from malice. Sometimes the person you're tempted to argue with is simply speaking from a place of limited experience or understanding. Rather than viewing them as an adversary, see them as a reflection of their own journey. Maybe they haven't walked the same paths you have or seen the same truths. Maybe they're navigating their own struggles and projecting those onto the conversation. Compassion, rather than confrontation, can be the bridge that allows you to part ways without resentment. Saying no to pointless arguments is also a way to protect your relationships. Conflict, especially when unresolved, can create rifts that are difficult to mend. By choosing to step away from heated debates, you preserve the love and respect that underpin your connections. You create space for harmony, even when you don't see eye to eye. Ultimately, this practice is about prioritizing what truly matters. At this stage in life, your energy is a precious resource. Spend it on moments that uplift you, on people who bring you joy, and on pursuits that feed your soul. When faced with an argument that threatens your peace, remind yourself, I don't need to prove my worth through conflict. My peace is proof enough. Life is too short to spend in the trenches of trivial disputes. Walk away when the conversation takes a turn that doesn't serve you. Let others hold on to their opinions while you hold on to your serenity. By saying no to arguments that lead nowhere, you open the door to a life filled with calm, understanding, and the quiet confidence of knowing you've chosen the higher path. 3. Say no to trying to please everyone. As the years go by, there comes a moment of clarity, an understanding that life is too short to live for anyone but yourself. The urge to make everyone happy, to meet all expectations, to be everything for everyone, is a burden too heavy to carry into your later years. Now, more than ever, it's time to embrace the freedom of saying no to the impossible task of pleasing everyone. Think about the countless moments you spent in your younger years striving for approval. Whether it was from family, colleagues, or friends, you may have bent over backward to ensure you didn't disappoint. Maybe you stayed late at work to appease a boss, even when it meant missing your child's recital. Perhaps you volunteered for one too many committees, not because you wanted to, but because you feared being seen as uncooperative. Over time, these efforts to please others can chip away at your own sense of self-worth, leaving little room for your own happiness. But in this season of life, you've earned the right to prioritize yourself. You've spent decades giving, sacrificing, and accommodating. It's okay to finally put yourself first. You're not being selfish. You're being honest. The truth is, no matter how hard you try, you can never please everyone. And chasing that illusion only leads to exhaustion and resentment. Instead, it's time to focus on what truly matters: your peace, your joy, and your well-being. Saying no to people-pleasing doesn't mean you stop caring about others. It means you recognize that your worth is not tied to how much you give or how well you fit someone else's expectations. It's about setting boundaries that honor your own needs and choosing actions that come from a place of genuine desire, not obligation. Imagine this. A friend calls and asks for a favor that feels like a stretch. Perhaps it's babysitting their grandkids for the entire weekend or helping them with a project that will consume hours of your time. In the past, you might have said yes out of a sense of duty, even if it left you feeling overwhelmed or resentful. But now, you pause. You consider your own energy, your plans, and your limits. Instead of automatically agreeing, you politely decline. I'd love to help, but I have other commitments right now. Let's find another time. That simple act of saying no is not just a gift to yourself. It's a step toward authentic relationships. When you stop bending to please others at your own expense, you allow people to see the real you, someone who values their own time and energy. True friends and loved ones will respect your boundaries and appreciate your honesty. And those who don't, perhaps it's time to question whether their approval is worth pursuing in the first place. Another truth to embrace is that not everyone will like you, and that's okay. No one in history has been universally loved or admired, and trying to achieve that is a losing battle. Instead, focus on cultivating deep, meaningful connections with the people who truly matter. These are the relationships that bring you joy, comfort, and understanding, not the ones that drain you with endless demands or superficial expectations. Letting go of the need to please everyone also allows you to rediscover yourself. What are your passions? What makes you feel alive? When you stop trying to meet everyone else's needs, you create space to explore your own. Maybe it's spending more time gardening, reading, or traveling. Maybe it's reconnecting with hobbies you set aside years ago. Whatever it is, give yourself permission to pursue it without guilt. The most important person you need to please is yourself. Listen to your inner voice. What does it want? What does it need? And when others ask for more than you can give, remember this: saying no to them is saying yes to yourself. It's a declaration that your happiness matters, that your time is precious, and that you deserve to live authentically. At the end of the day, the people who truly love and respect you won't need you to constantly say yes to prove your worth. They'll value you for who you are, not for how much you do. And when you embrace the courage to stop trying to please everyone, you'll find a profound sense of freedom. It's in this freedom that you can live your remaining years with peace, purpose, and the deep satisfaction of knowing that you've finally chosen yourself. 4. Say no to gossip and negativity. There is a quiet power in choosing not to speak ill of others. As life winds its way into the later years, it becomes clear that what you say about others says more about you than it does about them. Gossip, no matter how tempting, is a fleeting indulgence that can poison relationships, damage your reputation, and weigh down your soul. In your golden years, it is time to rise above such negativity and embrace the peace that comes from speaking with kindness and purpose. The habit of gossip often starts small, a harmless comment about someone's choices, a shared laugh over someone else's misstep. It feels trivial in the moment, even bonding. But words have power, and once spoken, they cannot be taken back. Over time, they erode trust, both with the people you talk about and those you talk to. After all, if someone hears you speaking poorly of others, they can't help but wonder, what might they say about me when I'm not around? Gossip also creates a cycle of negativity that feeds on itself. Each disparaging remark invites more, building a narrative that focuses on the faults and shortcomings of others. This can cloud your perspective, making it harder to see the goodness in people and the beauty in life. But the choice to say no to gossip breaks this cycle. It allows you to focus on what truly matters, fostering relationships built on respect, trust, and understanding. Imagine sitting with a group of friends, and the conversation turns to a mutual acquaintance. Someone brings up a mistake this person made, and suddenly the room is buzzing with speculation and judgment. You have a choice. Join in or gently steer the conversation elsewhere. By choosing the latter, you not only preserve your integrity, but also set an example of the kind of interaction that uplifts rather than tears down. You might say, I'd rather not talk about them. Let's focus on something positive instead. Your words may not change everyone, but they might plant a seed of mindfulness. Saying no to gossip doesn't mean ignoring reality or avoiding difficult conversations. There are times when discussing someone's behavior is necessary, especially if it affects you or your loved ones directly. But even then, it's important to approach such discussions with fairness, empathy, and a genuine desire to understand rather than condemn. The key is intention. Are you speaking to find solutions, or are you speaking to judge? The difference is profound. Refusing to engage in gossip also allows you to redirect your energy toward more meaningful pursuits. Conversations that build connections, share wisdom, or spark joy are far more enriching than those that dwell on others' flaws. Imagine the richness of a life where your words leave others feeling inspired, supported, and valued rather than scrutinized. This is the kind of legacy worth leaving behind. Moreover, letting go of negativity is not just about what you say about others, but also about what you allow into your own heart. Holding on to resentments or focusing on the shortcomings of those around you can weigh heavily on your spirit. It's a kind of self-imposed burden that grows heavier with time. By saying no to negative thoughts and words, you free yourself to see the world through a kinder, more compassionate lens. This shift doesn't just benefit you, it ripples outward. When you choose to speak kindly, to refrain from judgment, and to focus on the good in others, you create an environment of trust and warmth. The people around you feel safe, knowing they won't be judged or belittled in your presence. And in return, they are more likely to reflect that kindness back to you. In the end, saying no to gossip and negativity is not just a choice. It's a commitment to live with integrity. It's a decision to honor the dignity of others and to cultivate a life filled with positivity and meaning. Your words have the power to shape the world around you. Use them wisely. Let them build bridges, mend hearts, and leave a legacy of love and respect. After all, the peace you seek begins with the words you speak. 5. Say no to holding on to grudges. The weight of a grudge is heavier than any physical burden, and yet it is one we often carry without realizing how deeply it affects us. To hold on to resentment is to chain yourself to the past, tethering your heart to pain that no longer serves you. In your later years, when peace and contentment should take precedence, saying no to grudges becomes not just a choice, but a necessity for a truly fulfilled life. Resentment can take root in the smallest of injustices, a hurtful comment, a betrayal, or an unkind act from someone you trusted. At the time, it might feel justified to hold on to the pain, as if nursing the wound will somehow bring justice or closure. But the truth is, grudges do not hurt the person you're angry with. They hurt you. They occupy your mind, invade your peace, and create a toxic loop of anger and sadness. Over time, they become an invisible barrier that keeps you from fully experiencing the joy and beauty that life still has to offer. Imagine looking back on your life and realizing that so much of it was spent reliving old wounds. Think of the conversations you replayed in your mind, the nights you lay awake replaying arguments, and the countless moments you could have spent laughing, loving, or simply enjoying the present. Now imagine what it would feel like to let all of that go, to release yourself from the grip of past wrongs and embrace the freedom of forgiveness. Forgiveness is not about excusing the behavior of those who have hurt you. It is not about pretending that their actions were acceptable or denying the pain they caused. Instead, forgiveness is about reclaiming your own power. It is a decision to say, you no longer have control over my thoughts, my emotions, or my peace. It is an act of self love, a gift you give yourself to break free from the chains of bitterness. This process is not always easy. Some wounds run deep, and the scars they leave can feel permanent. But just as physical scars are a testament to healing, emotional scars can remind you of your strength and resilience. By forgiving, you acknowledge the hurt, but refuse to let it define you. You choose to move forward, carrying the lessons without the pain. Consider those who have wronged you. Perhaps it was a family member, a friend, or even a stranger. Ask yourself, what benefit do I gain by holding on to this anger? Does it make me feel stronger or does it drain me? And what would it feel like to finally let it go? Visualize the release, the lightness, the space it creates for happiness to take root. It's important to remember that forgiveness is not always about reconciliation. There may be people in your life who are not safe or healthy for you to re engage with, and that's okay. Forgiving them doesn't mean welcoming them back into your life. It simply means freeing yourself from the burden of anger. It is an act of letting go for your sake, not theirs. Grudges can also manifest in subtler ways, like resentment toward yourself. Perhaps you regret decisions you made or opportunities you missed. Perhaps you're angry at yourself for mistakes or shortcomings. But holding on to these feelings only compounds the pain. Just as you would extend forgiveness to others, extend it to yourself. Remind yourself that you did the best you could with what you knew at the time. Let go of the guilt and embrace the person you are today, wiser, kinder, and stronger for everything you've been through. When you say no to holding on to grudges, you say yes to living fully in the present. You open the door to relationships healed by understanding, to days unclouded by resentment, and to nights where your heart rests easy. You create space for gratitude, for joy, and for the deep peace that comes from knowing you've chosen love over anger, light over darkness. Life is too fleeting to spend it chained to old wounds. Let go, not because the past doesn't matter, but because the present matters more. When you release grudges, you make room for all the good things waiting to enter your life. You deserve that freedom. You deserve that peace. And most of all, you deserve to live the rest of your days unburdened with a heart that is light and open to all the beauty life still has to offer. Choosing peace in the golden years. As the chapters of life unfold, each page brings opportunities to reflect, grow, and embrace the wisdom earned through experience. The later years of life are a precious gift, a time to shed unnecessary burdens, focus on what truly matters, and live with a sense of calm and purpose. Yet, achieving this peace requires intention. It calls for the courage to say no to what weighs you down so that you can say yes to a life filled with joy, connection, and meaning. Each of the no's we've explored, declining unhealthy indulgences, avoiding pointless arguments, letting go of the need to please everyone, steering clear of gossip, and releasing grudges, is not an act of denial, but one of empowerment. These choices affirm your commitment to a life rooted in authenticity and well-being. They remind you that your time and energy are finite and infinitely valuable, and they deserve to be invested in what truly enriches your spirit. Saying no is not always easy. It requires grace, discernment, and a deep understanding of what you need to thrive. But with every mindful no, you carve out space for what truly matters: the laughter of your grandchildren, the comfort of a good book, the serenity of a sunset, and the warmth of meaningful connections with those you love. These are the moments that will define your golden years, not the fleeting validation of pleasing others or winning an argument. Life is not about holding on tightly to everything. It's about knowing when to let go. Like a tree in autumn shedding its leaves, letting go is not a loss. It's a preparation for renewal, for new growth, and for the beauty that comes with a life unburdened. Each step away from negativity, resentment, and unnecessary stress is a step toward freedom, a step towards living fully in the present. In this season of life, let your choices reflect the wisdom you've gained. Let them honor the journey that has brought you here and the person you've become. Say no to what no longer serves you, and say yes to the peace, joy, and love that await. After all, the most beautiful legacy you can leave behind is not found in things, but in the way you lived, with grace, courage, and an open heart. These lessons are meant to inspire you to live fully and authentically. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect and share one thing you've learned and plan to apply in your own life. Let's support each other on this journey towards embracing these truths. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment with 1. If not, feel free to comment with 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and here's to living life on your own terms.